like a swamp out here.
You should. You have time. I can hold the camera if you want.
Yeah.
It's longer, and there's two dips. See the first dip, and there's the second dip. See what the
Yeah. So there's a local lake in your neighborhood.
basically. It's pretty familiar. And then further up there is a little shallower. Now, when it got really bad, when we had 17 inches of rain, it was all the way to that trash can, that gray trash can, all the way up to that driveway past this driveway. It's been stage fright.
So we're headed to Hondo.
Yep.
And up ahead, Hondo. Walmart. What is this place? I've never seen this place. It's just like a shoe store.
It's like a boutique kind of small store.
Cool.
I don't think you've heard of it. You're only like in a few places.
Which way now?
This one. You want to follow me here?
Yeah, I'll follow you.
View, like,
Yeah, just keep going. Okay, guys, this is where I load up part 2. Give me a second. This is like the first time I've ever seen a 4K television. Yeah. What the hell?
they said there was bugs like that.
Just take a guess how much that costs.
$10.
19.
You're kidding me.
Hey, I found that pig's feet you were looking for.
Oh man, I wanted the big jar. You know the.
That looked like your senior year biology project.
Well, mine was the fetal pig.
Well, okay. 1 hour until the broadcast. Well, good evening. We're here once again from Castroville, Texas, and I appreciate you checking in with us. And I'm here with Greg, my cousin.
Hi.
So he's kind of looking in and checking out the live cast. So let me bring up the, let's see, we'll bring up the surface analysis and go straight to the weather. And you saw a little bit earlier just some stuff around town, and you saw when we were driving out to Hondo, we had a lot of scud and overcast, and a little bit of flooding on the roadways. You said that creek got a lot deeper at times, right?
Yeah, it does. It's been up to, that was about 1.5 feet we saw.
Yeah.
And then it has been up to 4 feet.
Yeah, that's...
And it's a low water crossing, and it's the only way in or out of the neighborhood, so... You know, so it's the only way in or out of the neighborhood, so it's, can be trying.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, it's about the deepest I've seen it when I've come out here. Let's see, 10, okay. Anyway, let's check out the surface map here, and I'll bring up my tool. And you can see we've got northerly, northeasterly flow across Texas. So we're getting the wraparound on this backside. And bring up my tool there. So there's the wind flow coming from the northeast. And with that, we're getting a little bit of overrunning from low-level flow. And yesterday it was more directly oriented north, and today it's more coming out of the west. There's a little bit of upslope flow or up glide over the cold air mass, but not as much as we had yesterday. So we're seeing the rain kind of abate because of that. The main system sliding off to the east. I can show you a little bit of what's going on here on the soundings. We didn't do that yesterday. So I'm going to click. See, this is where we have problems with the radiosonde network. The people who designed this network, they left a hole in central Texas where we don't have any data. So Del Rio's a little bit too far west. They've kind of cleared out, so maybe we'll just have to go with Corpus Christi. So this is a diagram of temperature versus altitude. Let me move the window so it's a little bit easier to read there. And this was taken this morning with a radiosonde launch at Corpus Christi. So you can tell that the cold air is topping out right around this level. Come on, Red. There we go. Around that level right there. So that's going to be up at 900 millibars, which is up at about 4,000 feet. So the cold air is about 4,000 feet deep. And you can see above that, we got the southwesterly flow on top of that. So that's yeah, that's that upglide. But we're seeing these plots starting to shift out to the west, so that's where we start getting downglide, isotropic downglide. And the tops of the clouds are up here. You can see that where the moisture and the temperature line diverge. That's up at a little under 700 millibars, so that's going to be about 9,000 feet. So if you're forecasting for pilots, you just tell them it tops out at about 9,000 with maybe some scattered layers above that. And above, even higher, is Cirrus, and that's blocking out some of the light, and that's helping to give us kind of dark, gloomy conditions out there. That and the low sun angle. There's the clouds right there. This is the infrared imagery from about an hour ago. And you can see we've got a little bit of a squall line off the Texas coast. So you remember the readings off the Texas coast we saw earlier?
Yeah, I do. How it's pretty warm out there off the oil rigs.
Yeah.
What did they say, 80 degrees?
Yeah, it was about 80 at just ahead of the squall line here. That would be pretty interesting to be out on the oil rigs watching the squall line bearing down on you.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, so that's it right there. That's the front heading out into the Gulf. So back here is the cold air, and we're getting that overrunning, and you can kind of see it developing into bands that kind of flow with that wind flow there with the mean shear vector. And behind that, you can see, let me check my monitor. So, come on, pen tool. Trying to get my pen tool's attention. I'll take you up to the north, and we can see there's a little bit of a ridge. If you look at kind of closely at the striations, there's kind of like this sense maybe for the flow. So there's probably a ridge out here, and ahead of the ridge we're going to get downward motion. And just to the west of that, that's where we have the next system on tap for a couple of days from now. Tuesday, Wednesday, I think. So have you heard anything about the forecast on the radio or TV?
Well, I know that as far as the long-term forecast, they're supposed to have below freezing for a low on Thursday here. Below
freezing? Yeah. Yeah, the models have really brought us into a cold pattern just in the last couple of days for next week. So let me back this up, and we'll do our perusal of the GFS model data from 18Z. It's about the latest we have. Okay, so this is starting out right now. 3Z. It's about as close as we can get it. So there you can see the cold air mass across Texas, and it goes colder as you go gradually north. And this is the main wave down here. You can see it's kind of a depressed area of low pressure, and as that moves on off to the west, we get that squall line developing as the front pushes on off to the east. Looks like it's actually hanging on there for a couple of days along the coast. So probably some rainy weather there for Houston, at least through Monday and Tuesday. But up to the north, you can see the next front on the way. Let me see if I can pull up my drawing tool. There's the leading edge. It's ahead of the strongest blue and red gradients. So that's how you can pick out the front.
So how fast moving is that front?
That's probably moving about 20 knots, probably about 15 to 20. I don't think it's particularly fast moving. I don't know. Let's take a look and see. Yeah, it looks like it's moving pretty quickly. Actually, that's probably about a good 30 or 40 knots. So it moves about from Nebraska to Texas in about one day. So let's see when that next burst comes through Texas. This is on Tuesday during the morning hours. It looks like it's coming through Dallas. And there it is, the Arctic Express coming in the backside. And we see that sweep into Texas. And it looks like we have another shot lined up. I'll show you where that is. Maybe some of you viewers have kind of picked this out. This is, as you can see, is plowing into the western U.S. And when we see that crossing the Rocky Mountains, that tells us we have a fairly deep air mass. There's a huge amount of volume. And let me see if I can pull up the sounding for the western U.S. So let's try Montana. Okay, waiting for that diagram to come up. There it comes. And let's see if I can... Okay. So this is the sounding for Montana later, I think on Tuesday. And we've got the temperature line way over to the left. And let me draw the the minus 40 line. It's kind of hard doing it with that mouse, but you can see we've got a lot of minus 55 up at 25 to 30,000 feet. So what temperature does jet fuel freeze at? Minus 40 for Jet A fuel in the U.S. So with that kind of cold air mass, freezing the fuel becomes kind of a factor. It's partly offset by the temperature of the airframe. It can be kind of warm. Also, it takes a long time for that fuel in the tanks to kind of like come down. But this is in Fahrenheit, so 20 degrees lower than the freezing temperature of jet fuel at cruise altitude. So that shows you how cold this air mass is and how deep it is, coming all the way down south through Montana.
Mm-hmm. It's very cold air.
Yeah, a lot of times these air masses come through pretty shallow into the central U.S., and this is not one of them. So there's the next outbreak coming south, and you see the 540 line, the rain and snow transition coming through Dallas. This is going to be on Thursday morning. Of course, that pushes air that's so thick, and everything is turning from the north, so we don't have an isentropic lift situation with this. Okay. So, okay, my mouse popped around. Let's see here. Saturday, Sunday next week. There comes another shot of cold air coming south. This is going to be on Sunday next week. So this is the 11th, and we can see that lined up right there.
Is it like a dome of cold air, or what is that?
Sort of. Most of the cold air is going to be on the east side of that dome of high pressure. You can actually pick it out by looking at the blue lines and where they dip south. Mm-hmm. That shows you where the deepest cold air is, so it's right in here. Mm-hmm. So the main high pressure area is a little bit off to the west out in this area, and you tend to have some warm air on the west side. So this is a big wintry pattern kicking in, a major shift from what we had in November. So going forward through Monday, 200-hour forecast for the 12th. Looks like another shot of cold air coming in from the north. So the CFS long-range model, like I said, had been signaling this for a while. This kind of a pattern taking effect. So there's the next Arctic air coming south. That moves. Okay, so now we've got a little bit of cyclogenesis out in the southwestern U.S., and this is developing some wintry weather across the central U.S. So here we're talking about Thursday the 15th. That's what we're looking at for the next major winter weather event in the central U.S. You can see a lot of wraparound of snow and stuff into Chicago. Probably not a good day for suntanning along Lake Michigan there. So
Do a lot of that up there, do they?
They're pretty crazy, so you never can tell. All the breweries and everything. So we're looking at probably blizzard conditions here for the 16th in Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin.
You had your viewer yesterday asking about Georgia. I don't know if she's with us. We can see
Yeah.
what's going on there.
I don't know. We flipped through a bunch of maps, so I don't know. It looks like they are going to definitely get some of this cold air coming south. I don't know about the timing. I'll probably look for severe weather potential after we run through this sequence.
Okay.
So there we go. It looks like the main low pressure area heads into Canada. So we're not going to see like a storm of the century in New York, nothing like that. Just some blustery weather. And then we get to the end of the run. We get kind of a plateau high across the western U.S. Kind of a cold pattern for them. Sorry guys, my frames are flipping all over the place. So yeah, there's this big plateau high cold dome. This is kind of what we see with Santa Ana conditions in Los Angeles. Pressure gradient between central Nevada and Los Angeles, you can kind of count out the isobars and measure the difference, and that'll tell you pretty closely, that'll closely correspond to your Santa Ana potential. So that's a little tip for you guys. And let's look quickly at severe weather potential in Georgia. I don't have all the charts that I need to really look at that up right now, but I'm going to bring up the NAM, which is basically the WRF model, and we'll flip this forward. And I think we were looking at Tuesday for the big moisture surge into Georgia, I think. Let's see if I can move this forward here. Yeah, this looks like a lot of warm air advection coming in right there like that. So we're looking at, let's see, Monday into Tuesday. So you can see a big wave coming through. I don't know about how much shear or instability we'll have, but maybe we can look at that tomorrow when I get back.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that's about all I got here. We're I don't know if you hear any work in the background. We've got pizza being made, so we're going to probably focus our attention on that for a little bit. Let me check out the chat and say hello to everybody. Somebody said they lost the feed. Another person said no. Anyway, we'll sort that out later. But anyway, I appreciate you all watching, and
It's always adventure when you go to Walmart with someone else.
yeah. See, I got video output low, so I'm not sure if we're putting out a stream. Anyway, I'll see you guys at the usual time tomorrow, and I will be back in North Texas, and we'll see you then. Thanks. Hang on a second.